Thanksgiving Eve. The stores are closed, the streets almost deserted. Just an hour ago, traffic at a standstill on the Brooklyn Bridge, and for now, all is serene. Except inside the world's most famous sports arena. Madison Square Garden is alive, and tickets are tough to come by. Dean Smith, college basketball's all-time winningest active coach, brings his Tar Heels here, minus the injured J.R. Reed. But North Carolina continues to win. Norm Stewart of Missouri goes for his 500th win tonight. His Tigers have a talented freshman from Kansas City in Anthony Peeler. Bobby Knight, for 17 seasons, the head Hoosier. He's won 3 national championships. Jay Edwards, the 6'4 sophomore, is here, but he's walking on eggshells. And Jim Boeheim of Syracuse. He lost 2 years ago to Knight and his Hoosiers in the national championship game. The Orangemen come in with 2 All-Americans and a 6'9 freshman phenom, Billy Owens. ESPN's Thanksgiving Eve gift to you: 4 top 20 teams square off. The Garden, it's quiet outside, electric inside. Outside, they're working on those floats for the Macy Day Parade. Inside, he's autographing and trying to get his mind on the rematch from 2 years ago. Bobby Knight and Jim Boeheim. Not really a rematch. It's different young men, of course. But I think for Jim Boeheim, he's still got to think, well, that was the one that got away.
Well, it did get away. They had a national championship, and they were ready to celebrate it up in the Carrier Dome, where they would have had an unbelievable party. But they had a phenomenal year. But Jimmy realizes this is a new cast, a new team. I think when you look at Syracuse right now, Jim, last year I thought they were a disappointment. They lost 9 times. They lost a lot of close games. Couldn't make the free throw. They're a little different team now. Ronnie Cycli's in the pros. I'll let you wonder why the booze. It's not just for Indiana's team. It's the arrival of the general, Robert Montgomery Knight. But now he's taking on Indiana, and that means Knight. That means Jay Edwards, a downtown shooter. He's a tremendous shooter, and he's really right now in an unbelievable situation. Every day, it's like a time bomb. He came back from a rehabilitation center. Bobby Knight's giving him a chance, and it's up to him whether or not he's going to make that chance worth it and have himself a great career. But Edwards can shoot the ball, and Coleman is some kind of player for Syracuse.
This was supposed to be a rebuilding year for Bobby Knight. Now for Jim Boeheim. 2 All-Americans in Coleman and Douglas, and a freshman getting a lot of notoriety on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Any dissension now?
Well, I don't think there's any dissension. I think I get my word that Derek Coleman is playing better than ever. Sherman Douglas is an outstanding point guard, along with B.J. Armstrong, one of the 2 best. Coleman is the guy that's got to make him go. When he's playing well, Syracuse is absolutely murder.
All right, keys to the game now as far as Indiana is concerned.
Well, you talk about Indiana, they're going to have to control Sherman Douglas, and that means Joel Hillman, a veteran player who played well 2 years ago in the win for Indiana and winning the national championship. He's going to have to contain the little guy, Sherman Douglas, who's absolutely a superb penetrator.
How about keys to winning as far as Jim Boeheim's bunch?
Well, Boeheim's got to get the big game inside. Mr. Coleman has to dominate the lane. He has to be the Windex man and eat the glass up. And if he does that, Syracuse will be fine. And in comes Mr. Knight on the sideline. Who's going to control him?
1 down, 1 to go. Coming up next, it's Indiana against Syracuse as the NIT continues live from New York's Madison Square Garden on Thanksgiving Eve. New York's Madison Square Garden, electric inside. Outside, they're getting ready for that Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And game notes, Syracuse, how they got here. Well, an easy win against LaSalle. They romped by Wyoming, and the Hoosiers hammered Illinois State, and they beat Stanford. So both come in 2-0. There he is in his patented red sweater. Bobby Knight, very loose. And, of course, his counterpart, Jim Boeheim of the Orangemen of Syracuse. So, for the introduction of the starting lineups, let's rejoin John Condon.
Here are the starting lineups for the next game. For Syracuse University, at the forwards, number 30, Billy Owens. Number 32, Stephen Thomas. Robinson. At center, number 44, Derek Coleman. And at the guards, number 3, Matt Rowe. And number 20, Sherman Douglas. And coach of the Archman, Ted Mahan. For Indiana University. At the forwards, number 10, Mark Robinson. Number 45, Brian Sloan. At center, number 11, Tom Jadlow. And at the guards, number 3, Jay Edwards. And number 44, Joe Hillman. And coach of Indiana, Bob Knight. The officials, Joey Sylvester, Tim Higgins, and Mike Works.
So we're just about set to go. The battle between the Big East and the Big Ten for the bragging rights for 48 hours to the Big Apple.
They're big news in '89. The totally redesigned Toyota trucks. Just wait till you drive one. But don't wait. Get to your Toyota dealer now and save up to $704 on great options like these. Don't miss out. Hurry to your Toyota dealer now to save big on extra value package options. Get there today because it's a whole new line of trucks and it's a whole new deal at your San Diego County Toyota dealers.
Hi, I'm Joe Mitsubishi. I'm here to tell you that Video Scene sells more Mitsubishi big screens than any other dealer in San Diego County. And here's Video Scene President Bob Suter to tell you why.
Sure I can. You can save up to $1,000 on big screens here at Video Scene. You get Mitsubishi's big, clear, sharp picture and save money.
The basketball team failed to qualify for postseason play. Richard Nixon was president. The Baltimore Orioles were the best team in the American League, and the average member of this year's freshman class had either been born or was in the womb waiting to be sprung upon the world. Syracuse, 18 straight postseason appearances. Quite a record. And, of course, Bobby Knight with 3 national championships.
The one thing Jimmy Boeheim does a great job, and I said it yesterday on a radio station. I was asked about Boeheim. He allows his players to have creativity, and he allows them to play their kind of basketball. He does not restrict them. He lets them play at a fast tempo.
The Hoosiers bring it down. Joe Hillman, the senior out of Glendale, California.
They're going to allow Hillman to shoot the ball a little bit more. In the past, he never really looked for his shot, Jim.
Edwards, the freshman. Excuse me, the sophomore.
Zone defense right now by Syracuse. 2-3 zone.
Underneath. Tied for 2, and Boeheim doesn't like it.
Well, he doesn't like the call, but I believe it was an excellent call. He definitely got that ball coming down. Let's watch the rotation over defensively. There goes Jadlow. It's close. Billy the Chill Owens. Bill the Chill, I'm going to nickname him. And there's a look at the professor, Mr. Boeheim.
Douglas brings it the other way. The veteran Orangeman swinging around. Rowe, left side.
He's being played by Jay Edwards. Interesting matchup right now. Edwards playing Sherman Douglas. Having a few words right now, too. Hillman trying to calm him down. So, Jay, just play some hoops. Don't worry about that. No wrap around.
Orangeman will inbound it. Billy Owens out of Carlisle, Pennsylvania, number 30. 73% field goal shooter. Gets it to Coleman.
See, Coleman, they play off him. They'll allow him to shoot the perimeter shot.
Douglas starts his penetration. 3-point range. Thompson high off the glass. 2-0. Hoosiers on top. Opening minute. Game 2. Missouri wins by 10, game 1.
See Syracuse trying to play at a fast pace, going to full court pressure. They have a lot more speed than Indiana, as Indiana worked on the traps today.
Bobby Knight with just 2 starters and 7 Lettermen back from last year's 19-10 team.
Well, they lost Dean Garrett and Keith Smart, 2 of the mainstays of their national championship team, along with Steve Alford. So there's the zone. Got to get in the gaps of that zone. Good head fake.
Hillman from 14, tipped up once, no good. Hillman battles for it, and the rebound pulled down. Brian Sloan travels.
This is not a vintage Indiana team in personnel. This is not one of your great Indiana teams that are going to over-talent and out-talent people, but they're going to play well together, and you know they're going to have good shot selection and good defensive intensity.
Owen.
Oh, what a look! Oh, what a pass by Bill the Chill Owens! Hello!
We're tied at 2.
Oh, what a player!
Edwards.
What a player! You just see that kind of finesse and rhythm to his game, and you know he's for real. Billy the Chill Owens.
And he's just a freshman.
See, they got to get in the gaps and get Edwards some shots. He's a great long-range shooter.
Hillman penetrates to Sloan. Baseline left, and he connects.
Sloan, remember the name, Jerry Sloan's son. Not normally a guy thinking offense, but a scrapping, hustling defensive player. There's Indiana with their help defense.
3-pointer is good by Matt Rowe.
That's why he plays. He's a one-dimensional player, basically. He's an excellent long-range shooter.
4 of 10 now from 3-point range on the year for Rowe. Too hard, and the rebound pulled down nicely by Derek Coleman.
See, Indiana shot the ball a little bit quicker than Bobby Knight would like in attacking the defense. We take a look at this pass inside. Great vision. Derek Coleman says, I love playing with you, Billy, even though you were on the cover of Sports Illustrated and not me.
5-4, the Orangemen are on top. Coleman with that slam and Rowe with a 3-pointer. And for the Hoosiers, Jadlow and Sloan have connected. Inside by Billy Owens.
Sherman Douglas throws the alley-oop pass better than anybody in basketball. That's the diagonal pass right over the top of the trap.
Jadlow, almost a sloppy pass to Robinson.
Robinson was a red shirt last year, junior college player, went to the same JC as Dean Garrett, San Francisco Community College.
Edwards back out on top after taking the pass from Sloan at the 17-minute mark. Syracuse by 3.
Syracuse trying to match up on the wings. They know the wings are vulnerable. That's where you can get some good shots.
Sloan. Reminds you a little bit of Ferry down at Duke, doesn't he?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. Sloan comes from great stock. His dad was one fierce competitor. And this guy here is a competitor. Well, what about this guy? Is he a little competitor? Boeheim says, I kick his butt on a golf course. I kick his butt. Boeheim's a great golfer. He's one of the great college coaches who can play with that golf ball.
He does that to relax. Sloan, a 67% free throw shooter coming in, now has made 5 of 7 on the year out of McLeansboro High School for Coach David Lee.
Well, you know, you're taking a look at Syracuse in this game, and a lot of people pick them to win the Big East, certainly one of the top 2 at Georgetown. And then you look at Indiana, most people pick them for like number 5 in the Big Ten, with Illinois, Michigan, Iowa, and Ohio State ranked ahead of them.
Sloan with 3, Jadlow with 2. All of the Hoosiers 5 points. Syracuse by a bucket. Coleman goes baseline. Offensive foul, says Jody Sylvester.
Yes, good defensive play, beating Derek Coleman to the spot. Jimmy Boeheim's club struggled like crazy last year on the free throw line. They lost to Connecticut 51-50. They lost to Pittsburgh 85-84. Villanova, they lost by 2, 80-78. They lost a heartbreaker to North Carolina, and the free throw line really hurt them last season.
Hillman, nice dish to Sloan. Sloan with a pump fake, and a foul is called inside on Billy Owens. Quickly, let's talk about UConn. Are the Huskies for real in the Big East?
Well, you talk about the University of Connecticut expectations. Can Jim Calhoun's team face the expectations this year like Stanford? A lot of teams can sneak up on people. The team really will be determined by the play of Cliff Robinson. If he's the dominator inside, they have an outstanding perimeter group with Chris Smith, a freshman, a kid by the name of George, and also Phil Gamble. But Robinson's the key.
Sloan now 1 out of 3 from the stripes so far tonight, the 6'8 senior.
You spring that stuff on me, but I was ready, wasn't I, huh?
I have the feeling I could ask you about any team in America.
No, not really, Jim. Believe me, there's a lot I don't know.
16:30 left to go. Hoosiers have climbed back to within 1. Douglas tries to penetrate. Dishes off. Matt Rowe wants it. Fires from 20. Yes!
Hillman doesn't get a hand in Rowe's face. I'm really intrigued with the matchup of Edwards versus Douglas. I'm surprised that Bobby's playing Edwards head-to-head with him. I thought Hillman would have played Douglas.
Robinson had the shot, Dick. Just a nice 9-footer. Didn't take it. How come?
You know, they're unselfish, always thinking pass, and then he penetrated a little bit more, and he went up for the shot. He's one of their real athletes. They don't have a lot of what you would call the bona fide runners and jumpers, but Robinson is that kind of player.
Mark Robinson played only 1 year in high school, still averaged 26 points. State high jump champion.
You know, you talk about the Big Ten, Jim. What a year it's going to be. That conference is loaded. If people think they don't have to lace them up to go play up at Northwestern where the Zook crew goes wild, or down there with the bleacher creatures in Wisconsin or Minnesota, you're only kidding yourself. Life is not easy, and it's not easy in the Big East either.
Robinson can't buy that one. Coleman swipes it away. 16 minutes to go, first half. Syracuse by 3. Coleman stripped away by the other number 44, Hillman, and that's what they were yelling about at the other end. The referee said foul was on 44 white. It really was on Coleman, 44 orange. The steal by the first Billy. Coast to coast.
Oh, yes. Hello. Billy the Chill Owens, Slim Jim Bammer, 4 consecutive high school state championships at Carlisle. Just a superstar and has the respect of all his peers.
Jay Edwards for 2. Did you see that shot? Bobby Knight chewing his gum, looking out into space.
Jay Edwards with a great touch, good rotation. Anybody you talk about Billy Owens with, they'll all tell you can flat out play.
Oh, what a tip by Billy Owens. He's got 6.
He's an inside-outside player. He's my version of a mini Magic Johnson because this kid can flat out do it all. He can play on a perimeter and on the interior.
Hillman, a 2-pointer. Rowe. 14:54 left to go. The second half of our doubleheader, the semifinals of the NIT. Syracuse by 5 over Bobby Knight and his Hoosiers. Dick Vitale back with you in New York's Madison Square Garden. Syracuse up by 5, and look at the passing and then the steal by the freshman as he goes end to end.
Well, Billy Owens stepped right in the passing lane. He goes end to end, coast to coast. His brother's a heck of a running back for Syracuse. I'm sure that played a big part in the recruitment of Billy. He broke the hearts also of the people at North Carolina. They were number 2 as they were in a recruitment for Kenny Anderson, but they'll get their fair share down in North Carolina, believe me.
Sherman Douglas has not scored. We played almost 6 minutes. He averages better than 22 points a game for Jim Boeheim.
Great hands. Billy Owens has great hands.
You know, when Owens starts to drive, he reminds me a little bit of J.R. Reed. He's got the same kind of maneuver.
Well, he has more rhythm to his game, and he's a better passer, and he's more or less a perimeter player than he is an interior player, where J.R. is like a one-dimensional low-post power player. Sherman Douglas and Coleman give him such an explosive duo.
Owens will inbound. Douglas takes it. Rowe works in the backcourt. Bobby Knight going to his bench.
Coleman sitting in a post. Great entry to Derek. Hey, Derek's been a new guy. He's really worked hard, according to my reports, has a good, solid attitude this year, and is really going to come to play, according to everyone, wearing a Syracuse uniform, because he's been up and down in his career. Look at him right there.
Robinson has it stripped.
Oh, yes.
Coleman.
He maybe looked good right there, Jim.
Looked like AWA wrestling. No call.
Here comes Derek rotating over. He says, no, Robinson, this is not JC. This is the big time, number 10. And I'm Derek Coleman. Get out of the lane. Hey, that carrier going. It's going to be one unbelievable scene this year when Owens and this guy Coleman and Douglas really get it running up and down that court and have an unbelievable fast break. It'll have that place rocking and rolling.
Coleman sits down. 3-point try is missed by Jay Edwards. Richard Manning, the 6'10 freshman out of North Highlands, California, 32, checks in for Jim Boeheim.
He can stroke the ball. I was watching him in a warm-up. He can really shoot it. And I talked to their assistant, Bernie Fine, one of the real outstanding assistants in America at Syracuse, and he really tells me they're anticipating Some solid play out of Manning. Herman Hareed gave him a solid performance against Wyoming.
6'7" senior out of Baltimore. He checks in. Syracuse by 7 inside. Only problem was Todd Jadlow forgot the ball. Owens pulls it down.
Bobby Knight's really high on number 23. He really likes Meeks. Jamal Weeks, he said, he's the best defensive player on the ball that I've had at Indiana. He said maybe with the exception of Quinn Buckner.
Manning looks underneath. Nobody there. Douglas the cutter.
I'm talking about 23 who's taking on the challenge of playing the All-American, Sherman Douglas. Look at him right here. Oh, he gets beat on the baseline right there. Oh, yes. Sherman Douglas says, welcome to college basketball, Jamal.
Weeks is just a freshman out of Freeport, Illinois. Douglas with his first 2 for the senior from Washington, D.C. And the Orangemen up to their biggest lead, 17-8. Edwards, the sophomore.
Nice entry. Great pass. He's a tremendous passer, Jay Edwards. He's just got to realize that he's got to dedicate his life to his academics and to his athletic ability, and it's unbelievable what his future can be. He's got a great guy on his side in the general Bobby Knight, and he's got to get...
Owens return pass to Douglas, pulled down by Jadlow, who's got 4 points.
I was talking about Jay Edwards. Naturally, he's had some problems off the court. He went to a rehabilitation center. We documented it early, and he's really just in a situation where he is almost on probation day to day in the Indiana program.
Talk about life on the bubble. He's right on the cutting edge right now.
Well, the next time he makes a major mistake, as the general said today at the shoot-around, we were rapping with each other, had a great time with Bobby, and he simply said, Dick, he said, there'd be no decision to be made by me. He's making his own decision.
There is the general, Robert Knight, 3 national championships. Chucky White, the junior out of Charlotte, goes to the line. He averaged 18 points as a junior in high school.
There's a look at Jay Edwards right here. Played at Marion High School, where they won consecutive state championships.
And Chucky out of West Mecklenburg High School connects to cut that Hoosier deficit down to 6.
See, it's important. Tempo is so vital to a game when you pick 2 teams like this. Syracuse that wants to go up and down the floor. It's important that Indiana does not allow Syracuse to get out to a big lead, to get to double figures, because they don't have the kind of personnel that can full court pressure and get back in the game against them.
Reed looks underneath. Nobody's cutting through. Dangerous cross-court pass. Douglas goes airborne. Coleman. Easy one.
He's going to have an unbelievable year this year. I just can smell it. Derek Coleman's going to have a superb season. Indiana lays some really tough screens across the lane. Syracuse playing man-to-man defense now. Rotate out of the zone.
2-on-1. Douglas.
Give it back.
Thompson. And a chance for 3.
There's a guy that's the quiet guy. When I say quiet, doesn't get any headlines or notoriety. It goes to Coleman and Douglas and Owens, but he'll score double figures every night. An explosive player from out of Crenshaw High. There he is on the drive to the goal. The guy from out of L.A. with the spin, lays it up, count it.
Eric Anderson, number 32, is in for Indiana.
Eric Anderson, the 6'9" freshman out of Chicago, checks in for Bobby Knight. Ryan Sloan with his 4 points takes a rest. Stephen Thompson out of Crenshaw High School goes to the line.
Same high school that produced John Williams, now playing in the NBA, former LSU star, played for Dale Brown. And another guy by the name of Marcus Johnson came out of Crenshaw.
And this man, Stephen Thompson, you might remember, Dick, the '86 Olympic Festival. He was the number 2 scorer in that festival.
Really struggles at the free throw line. He jerks it, doesn't have a smooth release. But he can do that. What an acrobatic player on the baseline.
4 quick points for Stephen Thompson, the 6'4" junior from L.A. Averages 21.5 points a game. Edwards, no. Manning up over the top, goes out of bounds, and the Hoosiers get the ball back. We've got 11:30 left to go in the first half. Game 2. Missouri wins the first game by 10 against North Carolina, and Syracuse leads here in NCAA championship, the finals. Bobby Knight and Jim Boeheim. Syracuse led, missed some free throws down the stretch, and then from the baseline in the left corner, Keith Smart drains it. And with 3 seconds left to go, the 3rd national championship goes to Bobby Knight and his Hoosiers by 1 against Jim Boeheim's bunch.
1976, 1981, 1987, and that's why the General Robert Montgomery Knight belongs in the Hall of Fame with Dean Smith up in Springfield. But he wanted his name removed from the ballot this year, and because of the fact that he didn't get in last year on the first ballot, according to many. Syracuse 73%, getting high percentage shots. Bobby really has to get his name on that ballot. He deserves to be in, and he's got to show some maturity and say, hey, heck with what happened last year, let my name get out there, and those guys, I think, will vote him in. Not on, you don't vote on personality, you vote on achievements, and he belongs in the Hall of Fame.
Eric Anderson, nobody to pass it to, has to go back out on top to Weeks. 20 on the shot clock.
Great
nice pass underneath, and too hard by Jay Edwards. Nice rebound on the offensive side by Pelkowski.
Pelkowski's been an improved player. Bobby Knight said his kids really came back, really improved, worked hard over the summer. Look at this kid play defense now. Watch this right here. He's really accepting the challenge of playing Douglas. Remember now, this is like his third game in college basketball. Meeks.
Thompson through the lane in heavy traffic. Bobby Knight wanted a traveling call, didn't get it. Foul was called. Bobby had some words with Lenny Wirtz a couple of commercials ago. Owens and Coleman, by the way, both 3 for 3 from the field for Jim Boeheim.
Bobby Knight had some great wins back here when he coached West Point as a young guy. Guys like Bill Schutzke from out of Hillside High in New Jersey, where he played for Rolly Massimino, Jim Oxley, Mike Krzyzewski, Mike Silliman, all wore the uniform. And when the NIT was really big, he beat a team coached by the dapper Frank McGuire with all those great players at South Carolina. And that's when Bobby Knight got the call, head for Indiana.
He likes this tournament. Likes it now, and obviously liked it when it was a postseason tournament.
Well, he likes it now, especially early, because it gives him a chance to test his players, to find out whether or not they are strong or weak in certain areas.
There's our score, 10:30 left to go. You've been listening to Dick Vitale. I'm Jim Kelly. John Saunders in the studio. Game 2, our NIT semifinal doubleheader. Missouri by 10 against North Carolina in Game 1. And it's a 10-point lead right now for the Orangemen of Syracuse against Indiana with 10.5 to go. Coleman and Owens, both 3 for 3 for the Orangemen.
See, now they're going to get in the wings. They got to get the ball involved.
Too far on the alley-oop for Chucky White. Douglas takes it the other way to Matt Rowe for 3. No, he pulls up and passes. Boy, he fired that one on a rope.
Well, they didn't expect it. They thought he was squaring up to shoot the 3. Douglas wanted him to shoot the 3. He said, I got you the open shot. Take it.
Here come the Hoosiers quickly.
Bounce pass. Give it up.
Chucky White dishes it off, and yes, Pelkowski's got 4 quick points.
A clinic on how to attack the pressure. Good look by White. Should have utilized the bounce pass, but Pelkowski converts and finalizes.
Off his knee, Thompson gathers it back in, passes to Douglas. Douglas in heavy traffic, tries a reverse layup. Slapped away nicely by Eric Anderson.
Anderson was Mr. Basketball in Illinois. He received the nod over LaFonso Ellis, who will be starting a new era for Digger Phelps in Notre Dame, and Ellis is quite a talent. Give it up. Oh, he should have given it up. Should have given it up. Jamal should have given the ball up on a little bounce pass, had an open teammate.
Matt Rowe wants it.
Can't let him shoot it.
3-point try. He's got 8.
Cannot allow him to shoot the open shot. It's automatic if he's open and squares his body to the goal.
2 for 3 from 3-point range and 1 field goal for 2 for Matt Rowe. 27-16, an 11-point spread, the biggest lead of the night. Weeks is clear out the right side.
Weeks really takes over on the floor. He's really got some good leadership skills, especially for a kid only a freshman.
Pelkowski was 6. He's 3 for 3.
Well, he's got range as a shooter. That's always been a strength. Nobody rotates back. Oh, yes. Hello. Bingo bongo. You'll watch Bobby Knight make a substitution now because they fell asleep and didn't rotate back, and that's a cardinal sin.
Mark Robinson coming in off the bench for Bobby Knight. Dick called it. 8:51 to go first half. 29-18. The Orangemen big. In trouble in the lane. Chucky White gets it back out to Weeks. 25 on the shot clock.
Meeks dribbles a little high. He's going to have to be careful that Douglas doesn't strip him with that dribble.
Over the back, Pelkowski.
having a tough time getting Jay Edwards open for the good shot.
There's our score, 8:21 left to go. The finals of this NIT coming up on Friday night, right after that Maui Classic. And Matt Rowe, 3 out of 4 from three-point range. He's got 11.
He's got great range as a shooter.
Two-on-one. Spin. Oh, what a pass!
Oh, showtime! Can you imagine the Carrier Dome right now? It'd be unbelievable. They'd be dancing in the aisles. This team's got great athletes. Give it up! Give it up! Bingo! Hello!
At the other end, Mark Robinson for his first 2 after an 8-2 spurt by Syracuse. 36-20, 7:15 left. First half. Coleman. He is 4 for 4. 8 points for Derek.
Derek's playing the best I've seen him play in terms of consistent play and playing with some poise. He had a smile on his face during the warm-ups.
Edwards, Pelkowski wants it. Nice turnaround jumper, and he's got 8 points.
He can shoot the ball, Jim. He's got great touch.
Out of Bogota, Colombia, 6'10" senior. Oh, what a pass!
Just too quick. Great quickness by Thompson. Really knows how to score.
And Boeheim exploded off the bench, screaming that Timmy Higgins wanted the foul, wanted the three-point call.
That was Thompson that scored, was it not?
Now, Boeheim is still screaming at Lenny Wirtz. He wants that three-point try. Says, where's the foul on my guy? And he leads by 18. The Orangemen by 18. It is showtime at the Garden, Dick Vitale.
Well, Jim, I'll tell you, look at the little alley-oop right there. It's Douglas to Thompson. Douglas scored the last basket. I think I said Thompson, but it was Douglas. Now watch this little give-off right there, little assist. And he goes to Billy to Chill Owens. Bingo! Hey, I'm telling you something. 30,000 plus. Jimmy Boeheim, you have yourself an unbelievable, exciting basketball team. They are going to be so exciting to watch. Here's the zone right now. 2-3 matching up on the wings. This is the one thing that Bobby Knight would not want here today, to fall so far behind because of styles of play. Look at this hustle right here by Jadlow.
Oh, what a play by Coleman to take it right away, though.
Oh, between his legs. I can't believe it. I can't believe it, Kelly. Oh, my God. It's awesome with a capital A. Did you see him throw that pass between his legs?
He could snap for long punt formations.
Wow.
5:20 left to go. Syracuse by 20. No contest.
Jadlow had a great game against Stanford. Went to the foul line 19 times, converted 17. And they beat a very good Stanford team, Indiana. But they're meeting an unbelievable machine right here. Take a look right now. Watch Sherman Douglas. Watch Douglas. Okay, Coleman with the block now. Now watch this. He's going to get it between his legs. Unbelievable. And right on the money. And look at this kid. Can he run? Can he slash? Can he jump? Run, Stevie, run.
Dick McPherson might want to recruit Douglas for his punt formation, maybe extra points. What do you think?
Wow, I'll tell you, now they're back in the man-to-man defense.
Too many moves for Chucky White. Hillman comes out.
Indiana has to work so hard to try and get a score where Syracuse gets the easy scores in transition.
Mark Robinson, way short.
Look at this. It's a fast break game. It's absolutely a fast break drill here. Layup city.
Nothing the general can do now is to go to his bench and try to get some fresh troops, somebody to stop the onslaught of Orange.
Well, people better bury the general this year because he's got an unbelievable recruiting class coming in.
First field goal for Chucky White. He's got 4 points, 2 for 2 from the line. 4:13 left to go. Syracuse leads it by 18. Hillman in the backcourt.
Chucky White, another junior college player. Bobby Knight had such success with Dean Garrett and Keith Smart.
Good freshman recruiting class for Bobby Knight, and he's got 1 junior college transfer. And of course, just 2 starters, 7 Letterman back from last year's team that went 19-10.
Bobby and the guy by the name of Bobby Cremens at Georgia Tech, I believe, have locked up the 2 best recruiting classes in the nation. Bob Gibbons, the guru who rates players down here at North Carolina, in his ratings had 5 of the Bobby Knight players in the top 40 in the nation. It's just one layup after another, Jim. It's just a matter of a fast break drill and just too many athletes and too much quickness.
Douglas with 8, Owens with 8, Thompson with 8, Coleman with 8, Rowe with 11, and so they go. Syracuse back to a 20-point lead. Jadlow a little slow. 3:40 to go before John Saunders at halftime. Jim Boeheim says, spread it out, move the ball a little bit. Owens with a nice fadeaway from 10.
Great touch. As we said earlier, the kid has all the tools. Was well coached in high school over at Carlisle, coached by Jeff Lebo's dad. He and Lebo were on the same team when Lebo was a senior, and he was a freshman, and they won the state championship.
For 3, no good. Lyndon Jones. Nice play by Chucky White to get it back.
Lyndon Jones, not really a good shooter, played the point guard on a Marion High School team that won 3 state championships in Indiana, and it featured his teammate, Jay Edwards.
Nice spin by Jones. Gives you an idea of how far Bobby's gone to his bench. Here it is, the other end, long lead.
No one's rotating back.
Oh!
Did you see the look by Douglas?
The return pass by Sherman.
He's getting a kick. Hey, B.J. Armstrong, are you listening to me? I know you were my preseason All-American, All-Rolls-Royce first-teamer, but I'll tell you what, you better watch out postseason because Douglas is right.
Oh, where was that foot?
He was out of bounds. It looked like he caught the ball, was out of bounds. This is the best in all the years, Jim, that I've watched Syracuse play. As we look at Bobby Knight, their performance for the first 18 minutes. This is the best consistent 18 minutes that I've seen a Syracuse team play.
Rich Manning connects on his first. He led Center High to the California State semifinals. He's got some big shoes to fill, though, doesn't he, replacing Ronnie Cycli?
Well, Ronnie Cycli, a great player in terms of when he performed, but he was so up and down. He moaned and groaned about not getting the ball a lot, and I really believe it affected some of the performances of his other teammates.
Points in the paint. Douglas, 9 assists. The Hoosiers, 12 points in the paint, hitting 42% from the field. Rose hit 3 out of 4 from 3-point range. Owens with 10, Thompson with 10, Coleman with 8, Douglas with 8, and some incredible passing by Mr. Sherman Douglas.
Well, they haven't been able to contain Sherman Douglas. And Bobby Knight today, again, when we were shooting the breeze at the shoot-around, he realized and said, the first thing we have to do is contain Sherman Douglas in the running game. And obviously, they have not been able to do that.
Chucky White gets it back to Lyndon Jones. Tries the left side for 3. Off fire, no good. Chucky Jones, the JC out of Dodge City, pulls it down. Lyndon Jones from 12.
He's got to make that open shot. If he can make that shot consistently, he'll get more playing time.
Syracuse 50, Indiana 28, 2:10 to go before halftime. Manning.
If they get that kind of performance inside from Manning, they're really going to have a good rotation and have some flexibility with their lineup. 23 is an excellent player as well. David Johnson, another freshman. Syracuse had a great freshman class.
Jody Sylvester says it's Indiana's ball. 1:35 to go before halftime, and coming up at the intermission. Well, we talked about, of course, John Saunders back at the studio. Missouri against North Carolina highlights. Clem Haskins, my friend from Minnesota, the University of Minnesota. All that coming up at the half.
Syracuse now sliding out of their 2-3 zone. See, Indiana has to really struggle with each possession. Nothing comes easily. They don't get the easy score. Look at this kid handling the ball here. Confidence, poised. Says, give it to me. I can play like a guard. Look at him. See, I think he's going to try to please his teammates. Oh, my dear. Did you see the look by Billy Owens?
Hareed gets his first 2 of the night, the 6'7" senior from Baltimore.
If you can't love playing with Billy Owens, then you're not going to be a guy that can appreciate the game of basketball. He's 6'9". He's like Baryshnikov in short.
And he's just a freshman. That's what's so incredible.
Gotta call him Billy Baryshnikov Owens.
40 seconds to go. Lyndon Jones has 4 in the first half. The Hoosiers trail it by 24.
Well, the reason I have my feeling about him, I had a chance to see him play several All-Star games, and he just really looked brilliant out in New Mexico over at the pit in Albuquerque.
22 seconds, and Jody Sylvester says it goes over the team in white, the Hoosiers.
Well, Syracuse trying to spread the court, getting into a one-on-one situation. They feel they have a little bit more quickness at a number of positions, so they want to take advantage of their quickness. Jimmy Boeheim knows the game, excellent strategist. I love teasing him about whining and crying and moaning, being Frida. But those guys know how to win, too. You look at the W's they've put together in their careers.
It has been an awesome first half for Jim Boeheim's bunch out of Syracuse. 54-30 at the intermission over Bobby Knight in Indiana. John Saunders back in the studio. Highlights and a lot more coming up. John?
Thank you, gentlemen. And what a first half this is for the Syracuse Orangemen. 54-30. They're leading the Indiana Hoosiers. This is an Indiana team that beat Stanford. Stanford, a pretty good team. A lot of people like them in the Pac-10 this year. So no pushover are the Indiana Hoosiers, but with Billy Owens, Derek Coleman, Sherman Douglas running the floor the way they have, and the athletic ability of Stephen Thompson, Syracuse looks unbeatable. The Big East better look out this year. Of course, this is the second game of our doubleheader here in the Big Apple. And on 30, let's rejoin Jim Kelly and Dick Vitale.
John, you indeed said a mouthful. It has been all Syracuse. That 54-30 lead right now. Welcome back to Madison Square Garden. Dick, you called it perfectly. You said for the Hoosiers to have any chance at all, they had to control Sherman Douglas, and they have not been able to do that.
He was really brilliant. He's like the all Thomas Edison, the great penetrator and innovator. I picked B.J. Armstrong ahead of him on my all Rolls-Royce team to start the year, the kid from Iowa. But I'll tell you right now, you better watch out, Mr. Armstrong, because Mr. Douglas is playing brilliantly.
All right, let's take a look at the field goal percentages right now, the Orangemen and the Hoosiers. First at the half, Syracuse hitting 80%. A lot of those from inside, and the Hoosiers 41%.
Well, it sounds like they're really shooting the ball super, but it's really because of the layups on the other end of the floor. We watch, look, 2 pump fakes right here. Coleman with the shot block. Now watch this play by Douglas. Unbelievable. And this is the reason for the 80%. Mingo, slam, jam, bam, Thompson. Now take a look right here. Here comes Syracuse again with Mr. Owens, Billy the Chill. There goes Bill the Chill from out of Carlisle. And he's up, and away. What a combination. Douglas and Owens. There's a look at the general, Robert Montgomery Knight. Not one of his happy moments here. Wow, you think he's angry?
I'm not sure that picture says he's angry as much as maybe frustrated and just watching a very, very talented Syracuse team. From three-point range, Matt Rowe himself, 3 out of 3.
Indiana zipped for 3. And we look here in the rebounding total. Syracuse 2-1, 15-7. And anytime you're rebounding and you have the kind of ultra quickness to go up and down the floor, you're going to get a lot of layups.
We'll be right back with the second half. Al, as you take a look at that picture of Bobby Knight, you have seen a lot of basketball, but you have to be impressed when the 3 officials, Jody and Timmy and Lenny, all came over, and they all raised their eyebrows and talking with you and I while we were away right there and said, boy, wasn't that an awesome display in the first half, talking about the Orangemen. I mean, when you impress the officials,
Well, you know, you got 3 outstanding officials on this basketball game. Jody Sylvester and Leonard Wirtz, and also when you talk about Timmy Higgins, they have great reputations. They've been blowing a whistle for a long time, and they've done a lot of games. But I'll tell you one thing, Bobby Knight must have been really in rare form in that locker room. He has too much pride to be able to come into Madison Square Garden and watch his team be down 24 points at halftime.
Long way to go in the season. Of course, he'll point his team for the Big Ten, and his team will come out of this with a learning experience.
Well, his team will do well against people that don't have the great athletes and the quickness. As I said earlier, they're at best right now labeled by many people to finish 5th or 6th in the Big Ten because of the dominant teams up on top with the great athletes. The Marcus Liberties arriving in Illinois, where Lou Do, Mr. Henson, has all kinds of talent.
Douglas starts the second half as he did the first, in command. Owens out front. Douglas with 8 points, a behind-the-back pass, and it's an easy one for Billy Owens, who has 12.
What can't Billy Owens do? I'm telling you something, he is just awesome. The only thing I really believe that can stop him is that he might try to please all his teammates and be totally accepted and not want to dominate the game because he wants to play in the shadows of a Derek Coleman and a Sherman Douglas. I think that happened a little bit to Danny Ferry when his arrival happened over at Duke, that he wanted to be accepted by everybody there.
Douglas starts to penetrate, look for Owens underneath, and a good defensive play by Todd Jadlow at 6 points in the first half for Knight.
There are a lot of same qualities about Danny Ferry. Danny Ferry doesn't have the athletic ability and some of the things that Billy Owens can do, but their mentality is very similar in basketball. Great team players who will do what it takes to win and just have tremendous attitudes.
Almost looked like Lyndon Jones palmed the ball right there, didn't it? Suspended animation. 19-13 to go in the game. There's Jadlow. He's got 8.
He's got all those up and under moves. He's really improved his game. As I said earlier, went to the foul line 19 times against Stanford and converted 17.
With 8 points, he ties Pelkowski, and Pelkowski didn't even start. And a chance for 3. Derek Coleman, his 10th point.
He looks like a big-time superstar tonight. He really does. He's playing with poise. He's playing with some enthusiasm. He's going to have to maintain that kind of attitude, and there's just nothing but greatness ahead for him.
How good can he be? He's just a junior.
Could be very, very special. Could be an outstanding NBA player if he works and develops his shot. The one thing that hasn't been there is the consistent jump shot.
You want to see him put on a few pounds or no?
Yeah, he should get a little bit stronger, too, but he's got the long arms. He can play even bigger than what he looks.
11 points for Derek Coleman out of Detroit.
He's his biggest enemy. He really stops himself.
Getting his own rebound. Jay Edwards tipped up and good. Jadlow has 10.
See, I just think that Derek Coleman never really totally enjoyed playing with Ronnie Cycli. Nobody will agree with me on that, but I always felt that he couldn't get the kind of shots and have the kind of freedom that he liked in an offense, which was certainly immature on his part because Ronnie was an outstanding talent. But I think he's grown up a little bit now, Mr. Coleman.
Jay Edwards, coast to coast. He has 4.
He knows how to score. Jay Edwards averaged 19 points a game last year, was the premier diaper dandy in the Big Ten.
Inside of 8 minutes and a chance for a three-pointer.
Billy Owens, is he amazing? Has he lived up to the billing? I'll tell you something. He's coming to Madison Square Garden. Look at him posted inside. Great hands, wheels. Look at him handle a rock. Look at the head fake. He left. Oh, wow. Great pump fake. I remember going to lunch with Bobby Knight and Lou Henson, and I said, Robert, we're going to wager a little dinner. I'm going to tell you now that this kid, Billy Owens, is going to be a major, major impact player immediately. He's going to dominate right out of the gate. He said, really, is he that good, Dick? I told him today, I said, have you seen the reports on the kid? And certainly he's seen all the reports, but I'll tell you what, he's even better tonight than the reports.
15 points for the freshman, Billy Owens, out of Carlisle, PA. 17:45 left to go, game 2. If you missed game 1, you missed a dandy. Missouri upset North Carolina by 10.
Give it up, Derek. Give it up, Derek. Give it up.
Gets his 500th victory, and he'll go for 501 in the NIT Finals live on ESPN Friday night.
Derek says, why give it up? Why should I give it up? I could take it right to the goal.
13 points for the junior out of Detroit, Derek Coleman. Baseline on the right side. Jay Edwards connects. He's got 6.
Not a good pass right there. Turnover by Douglas, trying to force the action.
Yeah, I guess there was some speculation how Billy Owens would blend in with the 2 All-Americans, but he looks like he's been around for 3-4 years.
That's one of the big adjustments. There's Pelkowski shooting the long jumper. They're playing the big people, Pelkowski and also Jadlow together now in the second half. Good bounce pass. Oh, they're just so smooth. They look like a well-oiled machine.
Coleman with 15, and it's a 28-point Syracuse lead.
And the Syracuse bench sitting very calm. Jimmy Boeheim, Bernie Fine, Wayne Morgan sitting there very relaxed and poised.
Edwards.
Oh, he could tickle the twine, Jim. He could tickle the twine.
6 points in the second stanza. He had 2 in the first half, a total of 8.
Well, he's got the great rotation. He knows how to really square his body. I saw him today drill about 7 threes in a row, just like it was automatic. Oh, nice look. Nice look, Derek. So unselfish. Good team concept. You know, Jim, I get so excited about the game of basketball. I love it. I love the smell of the gym, the aroma of the ball, the whole bit. But I'll tell you, I really get a thrill watching a team perform the way Syracuse is right now. They're just, look at this kid now. Watch him kick it out. Give it up. There it is. Oh, that is basketball transition at its best. Possession, penetration, and then points.
Owens starts it out, dishes it to Douglas, and then the nifty pass to set up Thompson. Here it comes.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at Douglas. He knows where his teammate is, and then Thompson is the converter. He finalizes, and then Derek Coleman celebrates by pumping his fist to the sky.
15 points for Stephen Thompson, the junior, a 44% free throw shooter, 4 out of 9 coming in. 1 for 1 from the line, and now he's 1 for 2.
He really jerks that free throw. He has no smooth delivery at all on it.
Jay Edwards pulls it back down, stepped on the line.
I can't remember doing a game where Indiana has not been competitive in the game like here tonight.
A 30-point lead for Syracuse. 7. That's on Sunday night.
Stevie Thompson with the offensive rebound. He's about 6'3 and a half, but he plays much bigger. Great legs, great bounce. He's like the rubber man, Mr. Spalding.
11 points for Stephen Thompson in the first half, 6 more in the second. And from outside, Chucky White connects. He's got 6.
He's out of Dodge City Junior College. Has some good athletic ability. I love the way this kid plays defense. Look at Meeks right now. I love it. He's playing so hard. But he gets bumped on a screen by Sherman Douglas, ran him right into a screen.
Finger roll, Stephen Thompson.
Just knows how to score, has that special scorer's mentality. Look at Douglas. He's hustling like they're down about 25.
Jim Boeheim helping Lenny Wirtz out, and a few chuckles.
Eric Anderson will be a very good Indiana player. He's got a lot of the skills that this guy right here appreciates in an athlete and will be part of the Indiana system. He's out of St. Francis de Sales High School in Chicago, Illinois. 6'9", Mr. Basketball in Illinois. And I can't wait to see LaFonso Ellis up at the Fighting Irish gym out at the Digger Phelps home.
Yeah, it's fun to just watch Bobby Knight. He knows he's not going to win this basketball game. But he's on the bench, he's sitting, he's standing, he's coaching, he's yelling, he's encouraging, he's watching. He's just not sitting back there. He wants to get his kids not only motivated, but he's trying to teach as this game's going on. He doesn't want them to just forget about this. He wants them to keep the mind on business.
He's certainly one of the masters in this nation.
For 3.
Nice change of direction by Lyndon Jones. Good front change. Goes from the right hand to the left hand.
6 points for Lyndon Jones, the sophomore out of Marion, Indiana, hometown of Jay Edwards.
Look at Sherman just taking over. Just taking over.
Tipped up and good.
Herman Hareed with the tip, the left-handed tip.
He's got 4.
From out of Dunbar High, famed Dunbar in Baltimore, Maryland. Oh, nice bounce pass, backdoor cut.
Too hard, tipped up, and yes, by Todd Jadlow, he's got 12.
Jadlow comes in from the weak side, no one blocks out. Look at Sherman, is he cocky with the ball now? He really believes that he is bad.
Okay, let's see now. Which way do I want to pass it now? Between my legs, behind my back?
Center it.
Chucky White too far, intercepted by Hareed. Out of bounds to the boys in white.
Number 45 for Indiana, placing Todd Jadlow.
Missouri Friday night, real war. Take a look, Missouri against SU. That's right, the Syracuse Orange Men, because you got a scoop if Indiana can come back and win this one. Look at this guy. He's just running for layups. He's like at the Indianapolis Raceway. He's just exploding up and down the floor.
10 points in the second half. Thompson at 11 in the first.
Wonder what Missouri's thinking watching this show right now by Syracuse. Look what I found. Look at those guys. Look at those New York wackos. Look at them right there. Look at those bananas guys. NIT shirt, smiling. Oh, wow, there's some wackos. I used to sit up on the third deck in New York, then here at the old Garden, and watch the old NIT. Oh, yes. Go home when they score like that. Everything's going their way.
Stephen Thompson with 23 points.
They missed Anderson wide open.
Bobby Knight says, now, wait a minute.
Who wants the foul called inside? Look at his change of direction, a little shake and bake. He teases you with the ball. See, I'll tell you another thing. Jimmy Boeheim's kept Billy Owens out of the game quite a while. He's kept him on the sideline. He doesn't want to showcase him a little too much. He says, you're going to earn your due, Billy. Let these seniors and experienced people get the recognition now. It's going to come.
He sets Stephen Thompson down with 23. Anthony Scott, the freshman from Rochester, 6'8", checks in, number 40. Inside spin. Nice move, Eric Anderson. He's got 2.
Good leaning move inside by Anderson. Tony Scott, you mentioned, coming into the game, he had verbally committed to Connecticut. They thought they had him, and at the last moment, he said, no, I'm signing with the Orange Men. Broke the heart of Jimmy Calhoun.
Back out to Douglas at the 12-minute mark. Coleman unselfishly gives to Douglas, who in turn gives it up himself.
You can't create better basketball than that. Great 3-man play. But that, again, is a credit to Boeheim, allowing them to have their flexibility, creativity, and not restrict the athlete.
11:50 left to go. It has been all the Orangemen.
This was a fight. They would have called this sucker over a long time ago. But here it goes to Mr. Coleman right here. Now watch him. He catches Douglas. Freeze it. See how he draws the defense to him? Drives, draws, and now look at him dish. He gives it to DJ, David Johnson, and he scores the deuce. Hey, this has been an absolute massacre. I haven't seen an Indiana team beaten so severely as I've witnessed here tonight. But anybody out there that doesn't think Indiana is going to come back strong during the course of the year and be tough, especially at home in Bloomington, would only be kidding themselves.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the strength of the Big East. Spin around, the easy one for Herman Hareed. He's got 6. What do you think John Thompson is thinking as he's watching this display, or PJ at Seton Hall, or some of the rest?
Well, I think they all know how good Syracuse is. I mean, they're familiar with the players. They scout. They know the talents of Billy Owens. But you think about it right here, Georgetown is not going to be any slouch. And also Villanova. You watch Danny DeVito of coach and Rolly Massimino with that team he has down at Villanova. They'll meet the challenge of Mr. Boeheim and company because he has an outstanding experienced backcourt with West and Wilson. He has some people up front that can play, and he's got some good freshmen. A kid named Woodard can really shoot it from Rochester. Oh, score. Oh, I thought that was goaltending. I thought that was definite goaltending right there. The officials might be sleeping and want this game to end right now.
You take a look right down.
Take a look right here. There's the penetration inside. There goes Anderson wheeling to the goal. Here comes, oh yes, definitely count that goal. No, you look at the Big East, and you talk about Syracuse, Georgetown, and also Villanova, and then you throw in St. John's with a talented freshman duo and Malik Sealy. By the way, I was a guest today on Louis Carnesecca's show, and I just want to say this. Louis' mom is in a hospital, and Louis couldn't be here tonight. His mom very, very ill, and we send our best regards. And I'll tell you something else. When I think of St. John's, I think of the most courageous lady that you could ever lay eyes on, Catholic Quinn, the fine SID who's battling cancer. And I'm telling you, courageous with a capital C. She is something special.
Very well-loved lady in all the basketball. And the slam dunk there, an easy one.
It's absolutely just a Duncan Derby right now. I think that Mr. Boeheim could start to go to the bench and bring in everybody, because it's really right now humiliation time, and you don't want to rub it in too much against Mr. Knight, especially with that recruiting class he's bringing in next year. This guy right here has got two guys named Pat Graham and Greg Graham, Chris Lawson, Talbot Cheney, Chris Reynolds from Illinois, and along with the class that Bobby Cremins has assembled, they have to be 1-2 in America.
10.5 to go. Coleman sets the pick for Douglas to try the alley-oop. Chucky White, 10 points on the night.
Indiana gets an easy basket up the other way. That's one of the few easy baskets they've scored. Look at the bodies. David Johnson. He's a diaper dandy also. David played at Maine Central Institute, a prep school for one semester.
Syracuse halfway through the second half, 86-52.
Have you ever seen an Indiana team dominated like this, Jim?
I haven't seen too many teams dominated, Indiana or anybody else.
I know, they've really dominated every phase of the game.
All right, we had the feature on Clem Haskins with John back at halftime. Let's talk a little bit about the Big Ten. We've got Minnesota, Illinois. Who do you like?
Oh, you got to like Illinois in that conference, along with Michigan and Iowa. They're so talented. I mean, all three are legitimately top, what I would say, top 7 teams in America in terms of personnel. But they'll be beating each other and losing some games. Ohio State gets tested right away, playing up there in the Maui Classic against Oklahoma. I think somehow, I know Oklahoma's awesome with Stacey King and Mookie Blaylock, but I think Ohio State somehow is going to get out of there with a big win over Oklahoma. And we haven't ever mentioned even Purdue with Gene Katie, and nobody laces them up and comes down to Purdue and gets an automatic W.
Johnson, fadeaway jumper from 10.
They have so many weapons, Syracuse. Where does this stop?
What a bench.
Going a little bit out of control, Jamal Meeks, but I'll tell you one thing. Bobby Knight really, really likes him.
He remind you of Keith Smart at all?
No, a lot different than Smart. Smart has got the great legs, has great quickness as well, but he's also a better jumper than Meeks.
And getting a rest, checking out with 18 points, Derek Coleman, the 6'9 junior out of Detroit.
I think that's the end of the night for the Motown Masher. He did a great job tonight, played like an All-American, Laurel Rolls-Royce player. It's the best I've seen Derek play in terms of a consistent performance, and I didn't see any pouts, any sulks, and that's what he has to totally eliminate from his game.
Inside move, Eric Anderson's got 4, chance to make it 5, the 6'9 freshman out of Chicago.
I really like Anderson. Does a great job finding the opening in the defense. Steps right into the lane, catches the ball, and then knows how to finalize and convert. Squares the body, takes it up strong. He'll be a solid player in a passing game and a motion game of Indiana.
Mr. Basketball out of St. Francis de Sales High School. Helped lead his team to the Illinois State Finals. He averaged 26 points and 15 rebounds a game. Three-pointer, no good. Rebound pulled down. He puts it back up off the iron. No good. Slapped away by Lyndon Jones. 3-on-1.
Pass right here.
Meeks dishes it back.
Yeah, he should have given a bounce pass right there. Running the ball up the court. Should have dropped the quick bounce pass for the conversion.
The general up off the bench in that red sweater, that patented Indiana red. All right, that man on your screen right now. You have said, notably in your book, humbly titled Vital, if you had to pick one coach to coach in one game, it would be Robert Knight.
No doubt about it, Jim. If I had that one game, he's a master in getting the maximum out of people. Between 94 by 50. Remember this, he's not going to war here with the same deck of cards as the guy sitting down the other side. And that's certainly not Jimmy Boeheim's fault. Jimmy's getting the most out of his people, and they played beautifully. They're really playing some great music here, like Phantom of the Opera. I mean, they're performing on Broadway, Syracuse. But right now, Bobby Knight doesn't have the great personnel. And I absolutely, you are 100% correct, that I did say in my book, if I could pick one guy for that one big game, it would be Robert Montgomery Knight.
Who is the best you ever coached against?
Oh, wow, that's a tough question. There's so many outstanding guys out there. I never had the chance to coach against Knight. I'd have to say Dean Smith.
Meeks too hard, slapped up once by Anderson. Douglas pulls it down, 3-on-2 the other way. Behind the back again.
Douglas so aware, knows where his people are on the floor. Kicks it over to Richard Manning. Richard, you let Sherman down. Richard has a haircut like I did as a kid. I'll tell you what, here goes Sherman. He knows the trail is behind him. In fact, he's yelling, I'm behind you, Sherman. I'm on the left. So you must communicate in transition. You have to let your teammate know that you are on the left and that you are trailing. Communication in the break for your young kids.
Friday night, will you bring a photograph of you with that haircut?
I'll tell you what, nobody believes it, but you look in my book, Jim, that I know you didn't pay for. I had to give you a complimentary issue, but you could see a thick crop of hair when I was a high school senior. Air ball.
Lyndon Jones.
They're playing for a little respectability right here. Try to close the margin, have a little respectability. Lyndon Jones playing for some playing time. See, and Bobby's not going to stop teaching. He's into the game in terms of, you know, what he's looking for people, because it's test time right now. This is exam time. This is the time of the year you find out what players are going to be ready to perform during the Big Ten season.
7:41. We'll take a timeout in Madison Square Garden. Syracuse up 88-60 over the Hoosiers. It'll be Indiana against Missouri in the finals of the NIT, 9 o'clock Eastern Time Friday from New York.
Lots of luck in a big tournament.
What do you mean, can you say it? I haven't seen anybody muzzle you since I put my arm over your mouth as we signed off the Dial a Dick Vitale show a couple of years ago on the phone-in.
That was a lot of fun.
Around the rim by Hareed, no good, and the Hoosiers go the other way. 7.5 left to go.
I like Meeks. There's something about his game I really like. His quickness, his ability to want to challenge on the defensive end. He just got a little bit more familiar to the college game.
What will Bobby Knight tell his team after getting hammered here at the Garden tonight? What will he tell them in the locker room? What will he tell them on the plane back? And what will he tell them on Monday when he greets them for practice?
Well, first of all, they're going to play a consolation game here on Friday night. They will play against North Carolina, so it's not going to get any easier. In fact, you have two proud schools playing in that consolation game that want to go back home with a one-on-one situation, not 0-2. So there's a lot of pride at stake. I think he'll get them definitely to regroup. They'll practice tomorrow. They'll definitely come in the gym and try to just wipe this away and realize they ran into an unbelievable machine here tonight.
Manning.
Hey, he's impressive also. I'll tell you one thing. He has got some impressive tools about him, touch and size, and now they rotate into a 2-3 zone.
Manning, the 6'10 freshman. Belkowski misfires from 3. He had a hot hand in the first half. You got to like him.
Yeah, he's got a good touch. He's going to get a lot of playing time. He's really improved his game. You know, Syracuse has so many athletes. Look at the thoroughbreds they have.
That shot of the sideline as we welcome you back to the Garden. 90-62 our score. Dick Vitale alongside. I'm Jim Kelly. All our ESPN college basketball crew. 6.5 to go. The championship game in the NIT coming up, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Hope you'll join us on Friday night. Missouri, Norm Stewart tonight. He got his 500th career victory in impressive fashion by 10 against none other than Dean Smith and the Tar Heels of North Carolina. How do you think the Mizzou match up against the Orangemen?
Well, again, you're looking at the superb quickness right now of Syracuse. It's going to be interesting, but I'll tell you one thing. Missouri's going to play them a lot tougher than what you've seen out here tonight because they have some athletes as well. And I'll tell you another thing. Doug Smith and the Detroit gang are really going to be excited playing against Derek Coleman, who's also from the Motor City.
I'm not sure Bobby Knight liked that play. He's going to talk to Meeks now. He calls him over and says, now, wait a minute. We're getting our helmets handed to us.
See, he's teaching right now. He's teaching.
He's not angry.
No, he knows that it's really a situation where it's a mismatch. It's an M&M'er here. It's a no contest.
Syracuse led it 54-30 at halftime. And they have just been stomping.
They could have named the score. Jimmy Boeheim's been kind here. Billy Owens has hardly played at all. Billy the Chill Owens. The reason I call him the Chill, because he just ices his teammates. He absolutely, the opposition. He just ices them. He freezes them with his great ability.
Manning comes down with it. Soft touch. Throws up a brick. All right. Boeheim benches Billy Owens with 15 points. A little psychology going on. You don't want the freshmen to overshadow Coleman and Douglas.
I think that's going to be the biggest test all year for Jimmy Boeheim, being a doctor of psychology in terms of working on the minds of guys like a Douglas and a Coleman and certainly a Billy Owens. Billy Owens has one of the great things going for him, though. He's an excellent blender. Some kids can't blend in making the transition from high school to college. He has that kind of attitude and ability to blend in and not be concerned with point totals. 15 and 6. He could have had 30 tonight and about 12 rebounds. Believe me, he didn't break a sweat to get 15 and 6.
I guess maybe Billy Owens is considered, along with Georgetown's Alonzo Mourning, maybe one of the two better players.
Oh, there's no doubt about that, Jim. And also some other great freshmen will be playing this year. Chris Jackson's going to be an outstanding player down at LSU for Dale Brown. Jackson will be an explosive scorer. We're not talking about strategy right now because there's zero strategy going on in terms of winning and losing this game. It's just important minutes for a lot of kids trying to impress their coaches. But Chris Jackson, Malik Sealy, and Robert Wardan over at St. John's. You talk about people like a kid out at UCLA, Derek Martin and Don McLean. Jimmy Herrick is, and I'll tell you another guy's making his debut. A new coach on a collegiate scene as an assistant. Remember this name, Paul Landrew at UCLA is going to be one of the fine assistants in America and will be a guy that eventually will get a head job. He's working with Jimmy Herrick where they have a rejuvenated spirit now, though they lack depth, but they'll have a good starting five, UCLA.
Talking about UCLA, do you think that the Bruins now are happy that things did not work out with Larry Brown?
Well, I don't know about, when you think about that situation at Kansas, that's a good call you made there because there's a new rule in the NCAA. Well, I shouldn't say new. It went in 1985 as Anderson shoots the shot that you can put sanctions on a coach in making a transition, moving to another school, saying that he can't coach if he put a school on probation. And it was heavy, if it were heavy sanctions. So they may be happy with what's happened.
Rowe. Perfect from three-point range. Underneath. Long time in the paint to Johnson. And Manning. Fresh 45.
Good athletic ability right there by White, taking the ball to the goal. Chucky White.
8 points in the second half, 4 in the first. He's got 12 on the night, the 6'7" junior from Charlotte.
Indiana, don't forget this, they were very impressive blowing out Bob Donowall's Illinois State team. Certainly not a cupcake team. And then they dominated Stanford. They win by double figures against a really good Stanford basketball team with Todd Lichty, one of the better players in America. And here's Manning with a little jump hook.
Syracuse, an impressive win, 92-76 against LaSalle, 107-81 against Wyoming, and certainly very impressive against Bobby Knight's bunch tonight.
They did tonight what they did against Wyoming. It just was layup city after layups. They just had the Cowboys. They lassoed them right out of the gate. And that was another game where if they could have called it like a fight, they would have called it.
3:11 to go until this one goes into the record books. The Redskins on Monday night. The NFL, 8 o'clock Eastern time. And, of course, NFL Prime Time with Chris Berman. Speaking of Chris, Sports Center coming up with Bob Lee after the game. And a new Yankee will be joining the Bronx Zoo. Chris and Bob will tell you about that.
Unbelievable news. Oh, the Yankees got a good one.
And a foolish foul over the back. And we'll take the long walk to the other end. Syak out of Vestal, New York.
Yeah, he's another big guy. Look at this here. Top story. Yankees sign a major free agent, George Steinbrenner. Get the checkbook out. Bob Lee and Chris Berman. What a backcourt combination that is. One of them has pretty good speed. One has lots of intelligence. I'll let you determine who has the intelligence and who has the speed.
I'm not going to touch it. They're both friends.
And you said Theismann and all those guys. What about Mike Patrick doing a great job? My partner when we get down into the Big Ten season. Big Michael getting it rolling out there in NFL land.
Oh, but Michael's a veteran. I met Joe.
Is he experienced? Is he experienced? Michael?
Oh, yeah.
He's called some games.
A lot of football. A lot of basketball. I was acknowledging the expected good job by Mike.
Back screen. Another slam dunk. How many slam dunks here tonight?
2.5 left to go. The Orangemen of Syracuse up against Missouri in the finals of the NIT Friday at 9. Sports Center coming up with Bob Lee and Chris Berman.
2-3 zone, Syracuse. Get into gaps. Get into gaps. Reverse the ball. Swing it to the gaps. Good baseline. Ooh. Had the open shot.
Matt Rowe behind the back dribble. Dishes it off and a whistle.
Oliphant had that open shot.
Roll the font. You have to roll it off your tongue.
I know. I was really excited. I thought we were going to have a really competitive game. And then after the first pass by Billy Owens, it seemed to break the house down. And then he made the steal for the slam dunk, and it was off and away. And then it was the Sherman Douglas show, the Derek Coleman show, the Stevie Thompson show, the Jimmy Boeheim show, the Bernie Fine show. It's been every show in America in Syracuse. The Freddie Grimaldi show up there in his Grimaldi's restaurant where he's got him rocking and rolling. What a place to have some good linguine, Mr. Kelly.
The Dick Vitale show. The NIT semifinals, just an excuse for you to talk basketball to America for 4.5 hours.
Oh, wow. I tell you, Jen, I told you, guys go have Drug Anonymous. I go to Basketball Anonymous when the season ends. Look at Anderson battling inside.
The only battle for Jim Boeheim will be to get his Orangemen ready for Norm Stewart and the Missouri Tigers on Friday night.
And I'll tell you, Bobby Knight's got a tough thing on his hands, getting them back spirited for North Carolina and vice versa. Dean Smith getting his team back up to play after losing today to Missouri.
Anderson now 7 points. The freshman out of Chicago came in a 57% free throw shooter.
He's going to be a solid Big Ten player. Solid Big Ten player, and especially an Indiana player. He picked the perfect school for his talents. Too quick right there. Look at Rowe. He can shoot the rock. He can shoot the rock, Mr. Kelly.
The junior, Matt Rowe, 6'5". He was perfect from three-point range in the first half, under 90 seconds. Mercifully.
I'm still thinking about that first half of the performance of Syracuse. It was one of the most awesome fast break series that I've seen. And that pass by Douglas between the legs was just unreal.
15 on the shot clock. Hoosiers taking a lot of time to set it up. Inside, fadeaway Anderson, no good. Slapped up, and a whistle. Jody Sylvester's got the foul, and it's called on David Syak. 99-70, a 29-point lead, and you're right. Boeheim could have named the numbers.
Oh, they could have named the score tonight. I mean, Billy Owens, I don't know how many minutes he played, and they just had it in real gear, and they could have done anything they wanted tonight. Anything they wanted. People tell me that Michigan, especially Ramil Robinson, is playing brilliantly. I think the most valuable player in the Big Ten is going to be a kid by the name of Glenn Rice that went to 100. A tremendous wing player who, to me, is an outstanding scorer and rebounder and will be a lottery selection in the NBA draft.
Syracuse fans on their feet. They want to cross over the century mark. They might get one more crack at it. 35 seconds to go. Anderson to the hoop. Eric Anderson with 8 points.
Eric Anderson looking good.
The alley-oop. Offensive foul. Johnson. So with 17 seconds to go, Syracuse 99, Indiana 74. Who do you make the favorite in the championship game?
Oh, without a doubt, Syracuse. Syracuse. The Cuse is just so strong, but Missouri will lace them up and come to play. There's not a happy face on that group right there. You talk about the Indiana group. He's got a great staff with Joby Wright, and he has a guy by the name of Tates Locke, who was his boss originally at West Point, and his loyalty, he has Tates on his staff. Tates really knows the game of basketball, and Bobby's got another outstanding coach, former high school great coach by the name of Ron Felling on his staff, and Dan Dockridge, the former player at Indiana.
One more chance for the Orangemen to hit the century mark. Matt Rowe.
There it is.
Underneath to Rogers.
There it is. There it is. Little high-low action. Eric Rogers.
Out of Temple City, California, the 6'11 junior inside. Take a look.
Look at the bench. The bench celebrating, getting a big thrill, rooting these guys on. They get no PT. They practice hard every day. There's Eric Rogers. Says, please go in, please.
And he converted the free throw. 102. 78. 102-78, the final score. It was all Syracuse. Jim Boeheim shakes hands with Bobby Knight, a shrug, and says, what can you do? Well, we can come back because Jim Boeheim will talk with Dick Vitale. But first, we go back to the studio and rejoin our host, who's had a long night. John, good job.
Okay, gentlemen, thanks a lot. 1-0.